Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Libra for August 2018. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out what's new on my blog. Also, if you're interested in learning astrology, check out my astrology education options, as well as my options for education on a number of topics in the self-development and professional world. So what's going on in the month of August? We've got Mars retrograde, but going direct. We have Mercury retrograde, but then going direct. We have a solar eclipse, and that's the third in a row of 3 eclipses we've had in recent times. We also have a water trine, an outer planet water trine, and we have a grand Earth trine. Trines are the most favorable aspects in all of astrology, so we're going to get into all of that when I talk about the general transits, but first I want to talk about some things specific for Libra. So I'm calling the theme of the month for Libra magical sextiles. Sextiles are 60-degree angles in astrology, and they are very favorable. There are 2 really favorable aspects in astrology, and between the sextile and the trine, Libra has it completely covered this month, because in the general transits, everyone's working with these beautiful trines, the most coherent and wonderful of all aspects. And Libra specifically has some really notable sextiles coming up. So we're going to talk about that. Now, the first thing I want to help you understand about a sextile, a 60-degree angle, is that sometimes it brings blessings on its own, but often it wants you to do something with it. The way that I describe the energy of the 60-degree angle is like having all of the ingredients for a peach pie on the counter, and then you have to make the peach pie with the ingredients, right? So they could sit there and it could never happen and everything could rot, and yay, you had the potential for peach pie. But if you do something with the things that come in, you can convert it into something very, very sweet. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about where these are hitting and why they're specific for you. Okay, so when the planets, the personal planets, are moving through Leo, this happens every year around the same time, like usually it's July and August where it's mostly highlighted. Sometimes it'll start a little earlier, go a little bit later, but that's the general time. So you may notice at this time of year, every year, there's an enhancement to life. There's a sparkle. There's something that comes from the fire energy making a 60-degree angle with your air sign. Fire and air work really beautifully together, and when you have planets in fire, it very much enhances, it kicks off this wonderful angle. Everything in astrology is mathematically based. It's a science that's based in math. Now, of course, there are ethereal, metaphysical, intuitive ways to use astrology, and the subjective eye of the reader looking at things, right? But at the core of it, it's a science, and at the core of this math part of it is these angles, okay? So the angles bring a certain experience or a certain vibration. So when you have planets in a certain sign, for certain other signs, that could be a challenging angle for them. But for other ones, it could be positive. So these Leo placements are in a beautiful aspect to Libra because they make the 60-degree angle, okay? So you're getting to have the experience of several personal planets moving through and making these 60-degree angles with your Libra placements. And the more Libra placements you have, the more you're getting kissed by these planets as they move through. Now, since Mercury it was going direct, then it's going retrograde, then it's going direct again, and all this is happening in Leo, that means there's this expanded possibility for these multiple 60-degree angles that are being made with your Libra placement. So Mercury went retrograde at 23 degrees. Now again, this is from around July 25th to 26th through August 18th to 19th is the retrograde transit. But after the 19th, you might also experience more of this action, because once it goes direct, it's going to pass over all the placements where it left and make that aspect for you again. So this is notable for all Libras, but it's most going to affect you if you have planets in Libra between 11 and 23 degrees. I'm going to expand that out to not between 9 and 25 degrees, because even though Mercury is moving through 11 and 20 up to 23 degrees, or back, we'll say from 23 degrees back to 11 degrees, when you're a couple of degrees away from something, you're still really feeling that. So we're going to expand it. So if your Libra placements are anywhere between 9 and 25 degrees, then you're having this action of this trine and then retrograde trine and then forward trine working on your placements, which is really beautiful. So if your birthday is between October 1st and 15th, maybe even out to the 17th, this is going to most affect you. And if you're watching for your rising or moon sign, then those 9 to 25 degrees are what you're looking for to see if it matches your placement. So you have lots of blessings there. Now, there's an additional thing going on with these 60-degree angles, which is this new moon in Leo, which is a solar eclipse. Okay, so just a recap about the eclipses. We have 3 eclipses in this cycle. 2 are in July, 1 is in August. I focused on the July manifestations for Libra in my June report. So look at the June Libra report to see that. The one at the end of July, I did that in the July report. Now we're going to talk about this 3rd eclipse, the one on August 11th at 18 degrees of Leo, in this August report. But the reason I think it's important for you to go back and listen to the June and July report if you haven't already is because we can still continue having manifestations from the eclipses in July into August. Very likely to still have pieces of the story, if not the big story hit in August, and even further out. So you want to be familiar with the ways, the potentials, and where in your chart's being activated from each of the eclipses, because they're working all together, not just on their own. So we're mid-story here. Eclipses work in a cycle. At the beginning of 2017, we started this cycle. We're moving along, and these different chapters are beginning and ending. And now we have more of the story. Okay, so we're going to talk about where this is going to hit for you. If you are an early, and some of you middle degree placements, you're going to experience this new moon solar eclipse on August 11th in the 11th house. If you are a later middle or late degree Libra placement, you're going to have this happen in the 10th house. The way to figure out where you're at is if your birthday is in the first half of the sign, you'll probably experience this in the 11th house. If your birthday is in the second half of the sign, you'll probably experience this in the 10th house. And it really does make a difference because the chart looks different depending on the degree of the placement. So depending on what day you were born, the sun was at a certain degree. It moves through all 30 degrees of each sign. When it first gets into a sign, it's at 0 degrees, it moves to 1 degree, it moves to 2 degrees. So on any given day that you were born, the sun is in a certain degree. That's your placement. And the chart gets tweaked depending on that degree. So it shifts for every degree that it is higher. So by the time you get up to 28 degrees compared to the 0 degree chart, the chart looks different. Okay, that's why between early and late degree placements, often we're talking about a different experience, especially for these eclipses, because if we're talking about a regular transit, the planet's going to eventually get to all of your Libra placements, right? So it's going to happen for everyone. But for an eclipse, it's hitting at a finite point in your chart, and that's going to be different depending on your degree. Okay, so I'm going to talk about what that eclipse may look like in the 11th and 10th house, but first I want to talk a little bit more about the sextile opportunity again. Okay, so because the eclipse is in Leo, it's now again making a sextile with these Libra planets, especially between 13 and 23 degrees. If you have an 18 degree placement, that's going to be the one that hits it right on, like 18, 19 degrees, but anywhere between like 13 and even 24 degrees, you're within a 5 degree orb of that aspect, and it will be very strong for you. So between October 5th and around the 15th or 16th, this is going to hit you most strongly, but everyone is going to have manifestations from this. So don't feel left out if you're not included in that group. So now we'll talk about what these may look like for you. So solar eclipses bring in new opportunities. They bring in new windows, new things that come in that you can activate. However, since this is happening in the middle of Mars retrograde still and Mercury retrograde, very often the new things will be something from the past, an evolution from something that already happened, things that you are working on, manifesting, something like that. So for the first half of the sign, new opportunities in the 11th house. What does that look like? It could mean something new involving a group, a team, an organization. You could join a group. You could do something be social with social media. It could be an in-person group or an online group. It can have to do with humanitarian efforts. It can have to do with the internet or inventions, anything with futuristic thinking or experiences or ideas or paradigms. This also has to do with friends and acquaintances. Okay, so there could be a new opportunity with a friend. You could make a new friend. Someone from the past who was an acquaintance could turn into a friend. You know, there's just all of this energy around the friend and the group and the society and the societal things and all of that. So something new coming in there. If you also happen to work in an arena that is internet-based or in a large organization or with a team or with a group or leading groups, any of these things that I listed, you might also have your work be affected because that is activating your work sector. But for those of you who are not in those arenas for your work, if you are a middle to late degree placement, like the second half of the sign, then very likely your work is going to be affected either way, okay? Because the eclipse is going to happen for you in the 10th house, which is the house of work. So it's career, work, something having to do with father, authority figures, bosses, your place out in the world, basically. So this brings tremendous opportunity for recognition, for people knowing you, notoriety, something that you've been working on, reaching a culmination, anything having to do with you out in the world, people noticing you, people acknowledging you, people recognizing you. Yes, it can absolutely result in a raise. It can result in a promotion, a new job, a job you've been working on can come back in, a job that you had an opportunity to do but didn't take it, it could come back around. Something involving work and your place out in the world will very likely be accentuated for this eclipse time. So these are the things that are most on my mind for Libra specifically. Now I want to talk about some spiritual principles to hold in your heart as you move through this month, how you can maximize the potentials that are all culminating, also specific dates of events and other transits that will be noteworthy. I want to give the aspects of those annoying squares so that you can look out for them, as well as some other cool things that are going on. So I'm going to go into all that now. So the theme of the month for August 2018 for all signs is magical alignments and abundant blessings. And that is for a bunch of different reasons. We have so many things going on now culminating into these magical potentials. So we've got Mars retrograde and then going direct around between the 26th and 28th of August. We have Mercury retrograde, and that was starting July 26th, running through August 18th or 19th, depending on your time zone. We have the new moon solar eclipse in Leo. That's going to be on August 11th. We've got 2 outer planet trines. So there's magical things going on there. So we have a full moon in Pisces at 3 degrees on August 26th. So these are a lot of things that are going on. So I want to just give you a little recap of how to use these energies well and hit a couple of dates to note. Also note that the information that I'm giving you, if you are better with written and looking at things visually, you can get a written version of what I'm describing plus more details about the general transits and aspects for August and every month when you sign up for my free newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. When you sign up at anniehelpsyou.com, you'll get a resend of all the newsletters I've sent for recent times so you can catch up with what's going on. And then of course I always send these out a month early so you have them for your planning purposes. So you know the good days, the dicey days, and things like that to make your plans. So the eclipses and the retrogrades are both increasing the odds that things worked of, dreamed of, and planned on in the past will come to fruition now. This is a major time of continued manifestation. The retrogrades are not good for certain things, which you can check out on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and also check out on my YouTube channel. If you put in Annie Botticelli YouTube, I have lots of videos about Mars retrograde, Mercury retrograde, on the things to avoid during these transits. But there are a lot of things that these retrogrades are really amazing for. And one of them is to let things come to you, is to be the spider. It's like you've woven your web, and maybe you're also weaving a web for future catches in the future, but it's in the backdrop. But you're just letting things come in. You're relaxing, you're stressing the best way you can, you're not forcing things, you can be comfortably productive, but it's more about being the spider and letting your food come to you. Another theme of this month is taking a break from the norm in big and small ways. Even something as simple as driving down a different street to go to work builds new neuronal pathways in your brain. And not only is that good for the longevity of your mental capacities, it's also, when you light up new neuronal pathways in your brain, it activates new energy in your field to bring in new things to you, to break out of old, a matrix, an old matrix. So you can do things different in a small way, or you could do things different in a big way. there's an example that I want to give you about this artist that I know who is very detailed in his painting, but he was stuck. He wasn't getting paid for his creative work, and sometimes it would take him years to complete a painting. Of course, if you see the painting, it would be like, wow, you can't even believe that somebody could create that, especially with a small paintbrush. But he was stuck. And so during this cycle of the retrograde, he started watching Bob Ross. I don't know if you know Bob Ross, the epic Bob Ross with his epic hair, but you can look him up on YouTube. He basically teaches you how to paint landscapes, and you can watch him paint this amazing landscape picture in like 20 minutes. It's crazy. So he started watching Bob Ross and then started applying this very fast using of the artistic skills to get in and get out and finish things. And because of that, things unlocked for him, and he's had this whole new opportunity for being paid for his artistic work, when before he was stuck in the same old way. But that's how you can that's an example of how you can use these retrograde energies to just break from the norm, to open yourself up for more opportunities now from the eclipses and other things, and also in the future. So definitely check out my Mars retrograde blog and video. Definitely check out my Mercury retrograde video. But do know that this month we are carrying those energies, but both of those planets are going direct. So I gave you those dates earlier. If you're traveling now or ever, and you are interested in seeing what the astrology for your travel time is, things to look out for, things to be aware of, you can check out my website, Astrology Kiss Travel Bliss. And I do monthly travel astrology reports on there. Okay, so this long series of retrogrades that we've had for months could be wearing on you, and your patience could be running thin. This plus this notable amount of squares, so I'm calling it minor annoyances with these squares, but major blessings because of these, the solar eclipse and the outer planets coming together in beautiful configuration. But just know that you're going to have a little bit of an open boosting time. So even though the personal planets being retrograde are not going to end this long sequence until like December, at the end of August, beginning of September, you'll have a little bit of a break from the deep retrograde energies, okay? So if certain things have to bubble up, you know, effervescence, just bubbling up, you might notice some momentum and some things starting to pick up at that point. In general, issues with anger at present or past situations can come up strongly, so the more you can not act from a charged space, the more you can prevent yourself karmic repercussions. And also adopting the spiritual recognition of divine timing over your own timing is a major theme that the astrology of this month wants you to bring into your forefront. Everything is happening just as it's supposed to, and you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Okay, so I'm going to hit a couple of highlights of dates to watch. August 1st, we've got a square. Tension can create breakthroughs here, but any way you can break free from something, just try to do it with care and not with anger. August 6th, we have another square, the Sun and Jupiter. So you can feel very proud and capable with this transit, but depending on how you bring that feeling out to the world, maybe it won't be well received. So just kind of watch it, try to tend to not overdo on any level, including spending, food and drink and substances and things like that. On August 7th, we have Uranus going retrograde. That starts at 2 degrees of Taurus and it goes retrograde back to 28 degrees of Aries. So anybody who has placements there, it won't go direct until January 6, 2019. So this is where the planet of change and freedom switches to do deeper work on your inner space. Okay, so either to catch up with changes that have already occurred in the outer realms or to prepare you for future changes that are coming in the outer realms. Also on August 7th, we have a beautiful trine with Venus and Mars. So this is a great little boost here in the midst of some of the annoying aspects. We've got on August 8th, Venus opposing Chiron. So it's very likely to bring up some challenges involving love and money, and feeling like your self-esteem is off or feeling like a victim is more likely at this time. But of course, it always gives us opportunities to have breakthroughs as well. August 8th, we have the Sun conjunct Mercury in Leo, so you can have your creativity ignited. It can fuel romance, it can increase fun, it can also increase ego flares and battles, so just tread lightly on charged topics. August 9th, we've got we have Venus square Saturn. I don't know where July just came from. Anyway, so Venus squares Saturn. Whenever Venus, the planet of love and beauty and money, comes together with Saturn, just sort of this hard-nosed, you know, challenge bringer, especially in that type of configuration, it can bring money or relationship issues. So, you know, the need for you to deal with them is going to be higher, but your inclination to avoid them is also going to be high. We've got another square on August 10th, between the 10th and the 11th, of Mercury and Jupiter. Whenever we have squares with Jupiter, Jupiter is a benevolent outer planet. So even the challenging aspects with Jupiter can be softer than squares with other planets. So it can bring a lot of optimism, but again, with that, like a tendency to overdo, like I have so much energy, I don't know what to do with myself, and then now I just burn myself out or something like that. So just kind of be aware of what you're committing to. August 11th, we've got a solar eclipse, new moon at almost 19 degrees of Leo. So this is time to make your 10 new moon wishes on the topics of Leo. So anything with children, creativity, romance, fun, hobbies, addictions, leadership, acting, anything else that puts all eyes on you. So new opportunities and major new chapters can come in from that eclipse. August 19th, we have this official trine between Jupiter in Scorpio and Neptune in Pisces. So again, this started at the end of December. There's some story that started at the end of 2017. It got strong again at the end of May, beginning of June. And then this is the final connection. So if you have any, especially water placements close to 15 degrees, but really anything that would aspect the 15 degrees there is going to more closely affect you. And you'll feel that trine for quite a while, you know, a while before the 19th and a while after the 19th. August 25th, we have a grand Earth trine with the Sun in Virgo, Saturn in Capricorn, and Uranus in Taurus, and those are at 2 degrees. So if you have any planets at 2 degrees, especially, you know, something that causes an astrological aspect with Earth in those signs, there's going to be more effects for you. August 14th through September 13th, we will very likely feel this beautiful effect. So launches and important things can be great. Even though we're kind of still doing a lot of retrograde energy, if you have to push in something at the end of August, beginning of September, you can ride the coattails of this trine while getting, you know, Mars will be direct as of between the 26th and 28th. Mercury is already direct, so you'll have more momentum here and you might see some really beautiful things happen. August 27th, Mars is direct at 28 degrees of Capricorn. That post-shadow period stretches until October 10th, so it won't regain full oomph until then. But momentum and drive and ambition will definitely, for those of you where it was waning, it will very likely start to return, sometimes to the day. It'll be a little sleepy, but you'll feel something different, like something's waking up. So on August 27th or 28th, depending on your time zone, Mercury will square Jupiter again. We had that square earlier that I mentioned, but because Mercury was in retrograde, then it did it in retrograde, then when it went direct, it did it again. So just be careful of overcommitting. And if you can promise or commit to only a fraction of what you feel like you can do, then you'll be happier, because as time moves on from this moment, your optimism or the reality may set in. And if you commit to something from that high space, then it's going to be hard for you to pull it through. Okay, so these are the things that are most on my mind for the transits in August. Definitely, if you'd love to learn astrology, check out my website, anniehelpsyou.com, for my astrology education options. If you'd like to be a coach as your profession, I would love to help you, teaching you my 6-step formula to getting results. I'm really good at setting and reaching goals, and I'd love to teach people how to do that for themselves and for other people too. If you'd like to bring your business online and have geographical freedom, you may be interested in my Creating Successful Online Business course, which you can also see at anniehelpsyou.com. Remember that if you would like a written horoscope from me, often with different things than I talk about in the video, you can go to cozybysweetstarlight.com. At cozybysweetstarlight.com, you will see blogs featured from people, up-and-coming bloggers, also from myself, and my horoscopes are featured there. But there are a lot of different lifestyle blogs there that I think you will enjoy. So check that out. Go to my husband's website, IamHelios, IamHelios.com. to learn tarot. Also, he does astrology readings, tarot readings, and other cool things you can see on his site. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.